Another edition of the plant-based morning show. Uh, Fun show today. They're always fun these days. It's a Taco Tuesday in my house, unbeknownst probably to anyone else in my family. But we are having tacos tonight, which is kind of exciting because we've talked about them at length on the show. I'm sure Doug will have some good thoughts on tacos as the resident taco aficionado. So I'll bring him in here, and we will go ahead and get started. Realizing that on the multi-stream, I am not using my better camera, so sorry about that. Hey, there he is. Doug comes in dancing. How's it going? That's right. Yes. Ooh. Wow, that is cool. In touch with nature. I like that. Was it a good eclipse? I mean, I guess they're all kind of the same, but was it the cloud cover? No blockage or anything? Oops.
Pop out at times, and sometimes it would be in the trees or whatever. But yeah, you kind of watched it progress. It was like a big, beautiful red moon. I mean, it was awesome. So it was a fun way to start the day this morning in the dark. And then
I like it. In touch with nature. And no need to vote because you already did, right?
That's right. Voted early.
Well, I found out yesterday that I am exempt from voting this year because I don't have a South Carolina license yet. I still have my North Carolina stuff. No government knows that I live in a different state now. So I guess I could go vote back in North Carolina, but that seems unethical, knowing that since I'm not a resident there. So my wife voted by proxy for me.
Okay. So she was organized enough to get her license, but
she was organized, did all the research, also got herself eligible to vote. And so I'm just taking half of her vote. So by proxy, half and half, we each vote for whatever she picked.
All right.
All right. Mr. Jeffrey says new account. Who this? I think maybe he's talking about Doug's new name. I'm not sure. Have you been on here yet? Yeah, we had you on here a while ago, right? 3 days ago, Doug, with your new It's Doug Hay account.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe Mr. Jeffrey's talking about the Plant-Based Morning Show Instagram account, which I have recently started. That is the place to check out. We told you last week, go to our personal ones, and you should, because we're going to keep doing the show from those from time to time, probably most of the time, along with No Meat Athlete, as we've been doing. But Plant-Based Morning Show is now an Instagram account, and I have put up 2 posts already that aren't even show clips, just things about that are happening on the show. One of which was the 13 photos that my mom sent. I think I chose 10 of them to put on Instagram. Figured that was enough. She sent me those to basically to prove Doug's wrongness about Aldi being bad. And then I put up one today of Gus, who's one of our dogs. Gus slash.
So now you're just using a new Instagram account to get to get one of your dogs adopted. Yeah. Okay. All right. So how many can you start here? It's good.
No, but I do think the Plant-Based Morning Show Instagram account will be a little different than I just realized. I'm not going to put on my personal account the 13 pictures that my mom sent me from Aldi, but they make perfect sense on the Plant-Based Morning Show account because people who care about the show might care about that, whereas my high school friends or whoever they're not going to want to see those pictures. But anyway. Gus / Cletus was his original name. He was adopted today, which was too bad because he was our favorite. But on the other hand, really good because now we only have one. And so I put up a little tribute to him so that people can see him if they want. But yeah, seems like a really great couple that adopted him this morning. So I'm very excited for him and for us and for them. Win.
I have a feeling that the Plant-Based Morning Show feed is going to be include a lot of pictures of vegan meat sections in the grocery store, and I'm here for it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, Doug, I will give you access as well, so both of us unfiltered can post on there without maybe the personal shame that would attach to some of those things if we put them on our personal account. So it should be good. Oh, Jackie with the magic hand says she doesn't have her Texas license yet, just needed her passport and new voter registration. Okay.
Yes. So every state's different. Everyone's state has different voter ID laws. North Carolina, for example, you don't need a license. You can just bring a bill or something like that.
Makes sense. Shouldn't have to drive to vote, right?
No, she did not have to drive to vote. Of course not.
Right.
And you don't need a photo ID in North Carolina, but I don't know the laws in South Carolina or Texas, but it sounds like maybe South Carolina is different.
May require some bit of forethought though to get the voter registration or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably so.
Okay. Well, then I feel. You know what? I don't think I've ever voted in a midterm election. Maybe I should. That's what this is called, right? Midterm election.
It is. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've missed a presidential election in my years of eligibility. I'm pretty sure I haven't.
I've even voted in off-year elections and special elections. I've never missed an election because I just love election day so much. You know, the small tidbit about election stuff, and Steven says voting in the U.S. sounds so much more complicated, and it probably is. But I read something, or I was listening to something the other day about voting in India, I believe it was, where they are so gung-ho on trying to get everybody to vote that they will like bring a polling machine to a tiny little town with just like a couple of people in the middle of nowhere to make sure that they can vote so that no one ever has to travel anywhere. And I'm like, man, that is cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Although easily riggable, maybe if you're able to travel with a voting machine.
Possibly. Yeah.
Right, who knows? Well, yeah, that is cool. Good for them. Democracy, good thing. Voting is good. So yeah, you should do it even if I'm ineligible. All right, Doug.
Very motivating. Good motivational speech there, Matt. That was good.
Okay, a few more little intro topics today. We're not going to let the intro go off the rails like yesterday. Was it yesterday that we did with this?
Yeah,
at the end. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But we do have a few topics. I have some shout outs. These are from what I today have called the Plant House Army is what I think should be the name of our
Plant House Army. I like it.
I don't know why. I just popped out when I was talking to you, Doug. So I'm going to call it that unofficially. Anyway, we asked people a couple days ago to let us know that they were not just a bot who was listening to the podcast but not coming to the live, because like I said, we're at like 1,000 people a day download the podcast, but I hadn't heard of anybody who did. I just see these people on the live, of course, and it's way fewer than 1,000 a day, obviously. So anyway, I got some notes from two people specifically, Carlo and Sky, who I just wanted to shout out so that when they listen to this podcast, they will hear their names mentioned and credit given. What I loved about both of their notes to me was that they said they listen every single day. And Sky, I think, said loves the light approach and that it's much needed in this movement. And that was very meaningful to me because that's really what we kind of set out to do. But the everyday part, I just think that's the coolest thing. I've said this before, but I really love finding a show that like feels like you're hanging out with friends and you can listen to it every day. So the fact that for some people we have created that is hugely rewarding for me. So thank you for those who shouted out. And then Helen DeGenero, I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. That's the name of the woman who I forgot her name when I mentioned that she sent me Athletic Brewing yesterday. When I mentioned that, she just ran the New York City Marathon this weekend and finished second in her age group at New York City. Yeah, cool. She ran a 3:25. I think she's in the 55 to 59 women. And you know, that's incredible. It's a huge marathon. So second age group is awesome. And of course she also sent me Athletic Brewing and paid for the shipping. I confirmed that. I think I said she paid for it. She paid for the shipping, not the beer itself. She's an ambassador, so she gets it free. But the shipping was actually what I meant because it was a lot. It was a pretty sizable shipping cost. So thank you, Helen, for giving me that.
All right.
Really enjoyed the beer.
Then it's completely acceptable that she didn't send it to me as well. So.
Yes, but we will find someone. If any other ambassador wants to reach out, or Helen, anyone, Doug would love to get some of that.
Just hook us up with Athletic Greens. We don't need the ambassadors to be paying for
it's Athletic Brewing. It's Athletic Brewing.
Athletic Brewing. Yeah, sorry.
We'll take that too, though. Whatever. We've had plenty of Athletic Greens. Actually, I'm kind of out on that.
Yeah. I got two people that reached out to me as well. Melanie, I believe it's Melanie Matthews. I apologize for butchering that.
Melanie?
And then Melanie.
I haven't seen
Melanie.
It. Is it Melanie?
I bet it is Melanie. Okay. That's really embarrassing. I'm so bad at reading people's names. Oh man, that's bad. Melanie. Right. And then John Ottens, who said that he's a longtime listener of No Meat Athlete Radio and has always pictured us as the cuckoo kangaroo guys, which I had never heard of before, but apparently they're a big deal. So
yeah, and then someone's cat also tweeted me on Instagram, Lulu Kitty. tweeted me. She's an obligate carnivore, but her mom listens every day to the show, so she wanted to tweet. Which I thought was good. Got a tweet from a cat. And Jeffrey Hudnall says, "Let's not talk marathon. It's a painful subject." I saw that Jeffrey got himself injured on Instagram, and now deferred his marathon race entry, which I think was for a local one here in Charlotte. So anyway,
Jeffrey's not the same as Mr. Jeffrey, right?
No, different Jeffrey. We have two Jeffreys who are often here. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, this is very cool how much is happening. It's like it's hard to keep up with. Like I said, we can't fill the whole intro of these shows with just all this little, whatever we would call this, minutia, thanking people, funny stuff. But that's why we've got the Instagram page, Plant-Based Morning Show. Who knows what else will sprout up from it. But it's really cool that all this is happening, and it makes it really fun.
We also have a couple of first-time viewers here today, so shout out to anybody watching today.
Okay, great. So Doug, I usually have been working out every morning with my son. Today I skipped that workout because I had something much more pressing to deal with. So I went to work, and I foreshadowed this a bit yesterday. I'm going to play it. Don't laugh out loud during it because it'll create echoes and things. So just be quiet for a minute while I play this. There it goes.
Big time snack aficionado. I'm like, this is my guy. I know this guy. This is me. Taco Tuesday was my jam for all throughout college. If there was a healthy vegan yogurt, I would be all about it. I really like yogurt. I'm excited about taco today. I love tacos. Well, okay, so my favorite way to eat a potato, consume a potato, is in tater tot form. It is by far the best way to eat potato. I'm a fan of Swedish Fish and also a fan of Sour Patch Kid. But I will say this: as much as we talk about how much I love corn chips and Mexican food, my favorite food ever of all time is pizza. Yeah, and I love a taco.
I love it.
There it is. Yeah, I'm quite proud of that. I strung that together. I tried to do it late yesterday afternoon, and the file got lost at the end. I'd gone through all these episodes and pulled all these clips.
Oh no!
And I couldn't save it. The thing corrupted or whatever. So then this morning I skipped my workout and did that. I'm definitely missing some of the good ones. I know there's a hummus reference at some point where you just were raving about hummus, and of course corn chips. I don't have the original. I mean, the original was on a different radio, on No Meat Athlete radio. I don't have corn chip references other than the indirect one that you did. But I think my favorite part of that is that you first start to say my favorite way to eat a potato, and then you expand it and say my favorite way to consume a potato. So like, it doesn't have to be just eating or solid, any form of getting a potato into your body, and you choose the tater tot. So I just appreciated that. I loved making that.
Oh my God.
I hope people like it. I don't know if this sound if it came through on the podcast or Instagram, but I'll put that on the page as well.
Oh man, that is so good. That is so funny. The last line of I love a taco.
I love a taco.
So really oh my God, it's so funny. Oh, I love it.
So anyway,
Steven has a good suggestion here. We need to make one of these of just you taking down headlines.
I mean, that might be funny to a super fan. I would enjoy that. I don't think it will have the comedic value of Doug talking about his favorite, just terrible snack foods. But anyway, if anyone in the Plant House Army should come across a corn chip mentioned by Doug saying how good corn chips are, or any of the Mexican foods that he eats 5 nights a week, that would be good too. Or hummus. If you can find those on the episodes while you're listening, whatever. If anyone listens to old ones, I don't really know if they do. I would love to know that. So please DM us and all that.
What a good way to start the day. Thanks for the laugh, Matt. That was fun.
Yes. So as I mentioned, Taco Tuesday is today. Well, I mean, it's Tuesday. I happen to have a taco recipe that I got some ingredients for, so I'll be making that. I'll post the stuff on the page. You'll get to see it. But I don't want to waste time here with it. We should probably get into some headline stuff.
Hold on. Before we do, Today is National Cappuccino Day.
Okay.
Which I meant to share with you beforehand so we could talk about it because clearly we need more intro topics. But do you ever drink a cappuccino?
I do every now and then. That's not a caffeine-free, another one of your caffeine-free drinks, is it, Doug?
No, it's what I give my kids right before bed.
I used to not like cappuccinos, and then I started really liking them. Actually, after I went to Italy, I started enjoying cappuccinos because I got that. They don't really have much American coffee there, so it's either espresso or espresso with milk. I was not vegan back in the days when I'm talking about. But yeah, I like them. How about you? Are you a cappuccino guy?
Yeah, I like that's my favorite non-straight up coffee drink.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
I just wish so. Like the good thing about a latte, for example, by contrast, is that it can last a long time. A cappuccino to me still gets drunk
Yeah,
so
they're so
fast; it just
short.
goes
Yeah.
away.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I wish somehow they could make that last forever. Maybe I need like a half calf cappuccino where they just double the size of it.
Yeah.
That would be good. But yeah, I like a cappuccino. And in fact, my wife and daughter, after voting, they're going to a new coffee shop in our town, Doug Waterbean, which is a very,
Ooh.
very good, fancy coffee shop. And I'm very, very happy that it is now only about 5 minutes away from me.
Cool.
Yes. Okay.
All
now
right.
on to the news. First one, a little bit wacky here. We reported a little while ago. We were pretty early on this one. The Beyond Meat CEO, last name was Ramsey. I forget his first name, but sorry, Beyond Meat what? COO, I think. Is
Yeah.
that right? He was an executive.
CO.
He was, of course, arrested in Arkansas in this county. I don't know if it's near Fayetteville. I don't know if it's the same where he was, but anyway, it's the same county where he was arrested for biting someone's nose after, I think, an Arkansas Razorbacks game. And he came from Tyson, by the way. We pointed that out, that his background was Tyson, so we said that's probably why he was so
aggressive.
such a whack job. Yeah, because he was Beyond Meat. It wasn't a good thing for Beyond Meat to be having in the news. Well, now Tyson Foods chief financial officer John R. Tyson, this guy actually has the Tyson name, was arrested over the weekend for alleged public intoxication and trespassing after he entered a woman's home and fell asleep in her bed, police said. He was uninvited. She didn't know him or know who he was. He just was drunk enough that he just wandered into a woman's house and went to sleep in her bed.
That is bad on so many levels. On so many levels, that's bad. One interesting tidbit about this story is that he's 32. He's the CFO of Tyson Foods, which is, I imagine, a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
And he's only 32, but he's the son of the founder, I think, or son of
Nepotism.
one of the other Tysons. And so clearly this kid is not up for the task if he's getting that drunk on a
right. This is like a Billy Madison situation.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Gotta go back to school. So anyway, it happens to be the same county. I didn't confirm or do extra research to figure out if Arkansas Razorbacks played at home on this day. But it seems oddly coincidental that these two high-profile chicken, one vegan chicken or vegan meat, one not, happened in the same town. I think both on Sundays, or same county. So it must have to do with the common denominator here. That I'm guessing Tyson has a headquarters, or at least a lot of people who are there, and a lot of them are fans of football, and just one thing leads to another, and you end up in some woman's bed that you don't know, and she doesn't even know you're there. Happened so many times in my life. If I had a dime for every time that situation occurred, boy. Okay. Let's move on, Doug. Okay, next one. This is dog related because as I said, we have one of our dogs was adopted today, so I figured a dog related story that had been on my list for a while would now be appropriate to share. Having trouble pulling it up though here, Doug. Here, Wild Earth.
Wild Earth. Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it. Why don't you read that one, Doug?
All right, so this one comes from Food Ingredient First, whatever that is. I think that's the name of this website. The headline is Wild Earth poised to reduce environmental paw print. Good, clever headline there. With first cell-based meat broth for dogs.
Yes.
So,
and I mean, there's not that much more to the story, but they are using cell-based chickens, and cell-based is cultivated, and apparently that is now, I think cultured is the term that the industry has the bigwigs there have agreed upon. I believe it is cultured is the terminology that they're going to use for cultivated. So that's cultivated meat. That's the term, not cultured. So they are doing it with chickens. I guess it seems like there was such a debate, or is such a debate happening about this with when it's for human consumption. I actually don't know if any of it is like commercially available for humans. We just keep hearing about it and hearing how expensive it is to produce, and theorize about it. But this is like this is just happening, and it's coming out in 2023. No debate. No, I don't think there's any law issues they have to worry about. I'm not really sure, but it just sounds like it's coming. So
Yeah.
very interesting that they're just willing to just go for it when it comes to dog food. But this is kind of cool. This company is a cruelty free dog food company. So they call themselves cruelty free. We've just barely scratched the surface of the debate about the cultivated meat. Is it actually cruelty free? Because it says in this article that it does take some harvesting of stem cells, and I don't know how painless that kind of thing is and how much captivity is required. But it's certainly not completely cruelty free. But they're obviously, on the practical side of things, they want to lessen the cruelty in the world. So I figure making this, even if you can't call it vegan at the absolute purest, they're saying that's a good thing for them. So I think they would use this to top like their other dog food would be the idea. So that then you get some of these nutrients and things that are in meat from this broth. So
do they how do dogs consume broth? Do they just
I think you just pour it over their food. Like our puppies that we've had to slow down their eating pace because they just devour their food and it's a mess and it's crazy.
Okay.
I think partly because they're competing with each other for the food. I mean, they're separate bowls, but I think they're instinct is just devour what you can. Aaron was putting it in water, and that would somehow slow them down. They have to eat it like Doug, like the way you eat cereal with water sometimes as the as the liquid. So I guess it makes it just gross enough that they won't eat it quite so fast.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so now you can do this with this cultivated chicken broth, and your dog will get some more nutrients, even if your food is home cooked or has rice or whatever. So it seems like a good idea. I'm glad it's happening. Mark Cuban was he closed a deal on Shark Tank with this company. And Paul Wesley, do you know the actor Paul Wesley, Doug, from your travels, from all your movie watching?
I don't think so.
No, I don't either. But anyway, he I don't think he was in The Office or Parks and Rec, so he's not familiar to me. But yeah, he's behind it. So I don't know, kind of good news, I guess. I mean, I'm definitely in favor of this cultivated meat idea. I don't know if I would eat it for myself or my family. I think I would. We kind of talked about that. I haven't thought about it much, but as far as buying it for dogs, if it makes them healthier, I'd be happy to use this, even if it took stem cells from real animals at the outset. But again, like I said, then I'd want to know the details of and maybe this will come out as this stuff becomes more commercially available. What is that process like? How often do they have to get stem cells? How many animals does it take to get them from to produce how much, animals worth of the food? So I would love to know all those details before I was buying any of this.
Yeah.
But cool that it's happening.
It is, and I imagine that dog food, if there's chicken broth and other dog food, or the chicken chunks and other dog food, I imagine those chickens are not the highest quality or not treated the most humanely. So
Right.
if we can reducing the footprint, the animal cruelty footprint of dog food, I think that's a positive thing for sure.
Yeah, Mr. Jeffrey points out, seems like a good starting point to prove out the tech and bring the costs down. I don't think they mentioned the cost in this article, but I think that makes sense. I don't know why it seems like a good starting point, but maybe it just seems like less controversy if it's for dog food rather than for humans. So cool, progress happening.
Yeah.
All right, Doug, this is your big moment. This is your big article to do.
All right, so this is one that I first listened to on the radio, and then I've seen it several other places as well, and that's why I thought it'd be good to talk about, because it's not really plant-based related, but I think people will find it interesting. So this one's I heard it on NPR, and the article that I'm looking at now is from NPR, and the headline is "Statins versus Supplements: New Study Finds One is Vastly Superior to Cut Cholesterol." And basically, this study, which they note at the top, which is important, was funded by a statin creator, Crestor, and AstraZeneca. So it was funded by a pharmaceutical company, and apparently it had independent researchers, but of course, if it's funded by them and paid for by them, then I don't know how independent that can really be. But so what they were looking at was trying to decide whether statins or supplements, most notably omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil, were as effective at lowering cholesterol than statins are. And to
Mhm.
me, this is a flawed question to begin with, right? I mean, most people, I guess there are plenty of people, according to this article, there are people who are choosing supplements over statins. But of course, what they found was that statins reduce cholesterol by, I think it was by 36% over a 29-day period. And there
Mhm.
was little to no effect from the supplements. And so, it's like praising the statins, which, I have no doubt that statins work. I have no doubt at all that statins work. And for certain people, they're going to be the most effective and the best option for people. I think what was missing from this narrative, and they do talk about it at the end a little bit, is how to change your lifestyle and change your diet so that you don't have high cholesterol to begin with, or that you can kind of more naturally wean off of statins by just lowering your cholesterol by improving your diet. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of since it was showing up everywhere, I thought it was an interesting one to discuss.
Yeah, I think so too. By the way, they were given supplements. It wasn't just fish oil. They tested against several of them: fish oil, cinnamon, garlic, turmeric, plant sterols, or red yeast rice. And I guess all of these have maybe been said at some time that they could reduce cholesterol. My first thought was, okay, like somehow I saw this article on a different site, and I didn't see the fish oil part there. I just saw all these other things, and I was like, well, who cares? I mean, of course, cinnamon, garlic, turmeric, plant, like they're not going to work as well as
Yeah,
something that's designed for
exactly.
this. But fish oil, that's kind of a significant one because omega-3s are definitely associated with better heart health. So it's surprising to me that they would just say that didn't work. Uh, a little more surprising, Douglas, for me was your certainty that statins do work, because I've always been of the mind that that statins do help lower to cholesterol, but they don't. I had seen headlines years ago that they don't actually end up lengthening lifespan at all. So they do lower the marker that people are looking at for heart health, but are they actually improving heart health? Maybe not, because cholesterol, don't forget, is made by your body in response to inflammation to help protect the arteries. It's just when you have way too
Right.
much of
Yeah.
it because of the way you're eating. So simply lowering the cholesterol, which may be serving the purpose of keeping you alive, that cholesterol, although an indicator of poor diet choices, it may also be keeping you alive until it becomes such built up that it's a hazard. So I'm not positive that statins actually do work in terms of like the actual goal of helping people live longer. I googled this again
Yeah.
yesterday and found, and like there's mixed stuff. There are some studies that show very little benefit. Some show about a year of expected additional life, and some also probably depending on who's funding it, some will show longer time than that. So I'm not positive that statins do work that well, but
Well, to clarify, I think exactly what you said. There's a difference between looking at lifespan and looking at lowering cholesterol over the course of a 29-day period. Like,
right.
I would, obviously I haven't looked at a ton of research about this, so I'm speaking kind of blindly. But just my gut says that if something is designed to lower cholesterol, then it's probably going to be effective in the short term.
Yep.
And that seems to be what statins are showing to do here. Whereas supplements or diet, is maybe a little bit of a longer term play, but that
Right.
can help, of course, increase the lifespan. They do talk a little bit about diet and mention the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet
Mhm.
as what this doctor recommends for significantly reducing the risk of heart disease.
Yes. So what you just said there to me is the way to handle this. This is not, of course, any kind of medical advice, but I think like what I know from my parents, like when they've had heart scares, they get
Yeah.
put on these statins, and it does in some sense artificially lower cholesterol for a while to keep you out of the immediate danger of another heart incident. And during that time, you change your diet and you hope to eventually get off of those statins so you can avoid the side effects. Like my mom complains often of head, brain fog kind of stuff when she's on these things and can't recall words very easily. So yeah, it has some side effects. Although in the article
And
they talk about excellent safety profile and very, very low risk of side effects, but I have
yeah.
vanishingly small. Well, that's serious side effects, vanishingly small.
And then those supplements can play an important role in that healthy diet, right? That healthy long-term diet.
Yes, exactly. Right. And and I take omega-3 supplements for that reason. I'm I consider myself a heart disease risk because of family history. And even with the plant-based diet, my cholesterol is not as low as I wish it was, even when I do a pretty good job of eating healthily. So I take omega-3s in hopes of lowering that. And they're complementary omega-3s, which we should mention. The reason the show exists is because complement supports it. So we should, of course, thank our I don't know what is complement, our mother brand, father brand, I don't know, parent brand.
Parent brand, yeah. Let's see. Jackie with Magic Hand says, I'm not saying people don't need these meds, but my frustration with offering these meds is when they're offered without having patients trying to change their diets and exercise first. And I get that frustration. I think that sometimes there's like kind of an emergency situation. I know that my dad, for example, was dealing with a heart attack, post heart attack. So of course you want to act real aggressively. But now he has, like your parents, Matt, has quickly gone off the statins and is now seems to be very healthy with his change in diet and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of your dad, is it possible we can reach out to him for comment? Is he a Catholic minister, priest?
He's not a Catholic, no.
No.
He is a preacher, a former Presbyterian preacher, but not Catholic, no.
He wouldn't have a good comment about the Catholic Church instituting meat-free Fridays would be really good for the environment and health and things? Because that's in a Veg News article that I didn't put in today's show, but I'd like to.
Oh, that's a big one.
We can track him down on his sailboat somewhere, wherever he is, and have him join us.
We can have he's still considered clergy, right? So I think we could have some sort of response from a non-Catholic clergy member of clergy.
Good. All right. Next one. This is from a couple of different sources. I saw this at Daily Mail, and I saw it on New York Post, which is always good for a great article about vegan things. This one is, darn it, an ad is covering it up. Having trouble reading my headline. Trendy. Darn it. I like reading the actual headline.
The Daily Mail one is trendy raw vegan diet loved by Gwyneth Paltrow and Demi Moore might do more harm than good, warns dietary experts.
Yes, thank you. So that is about the raw diet. It's a raw vegan diet, which I didn't know that that's trendy. I mean, I didn't know it's trending. Maybe it is trendy and always will be because it's raw and it's exciting, I guess, that you could eat just raw food. And raw vegan sounds like, so you take something that's extreme and you go even more extreme. So that's the makings of a trendy diet. So fair enough that they call it trendy. I didn't know people were still really doing this. I don't know why. I just figured that.
Oh, are you kidding? It's like huge on.
Is it?
On Instagram and stuff, yeah.
Like I thought that there was like the raw thing. I have a very warped perspective of this because it just has to do like with when I was that really involved with the blogging and healthy living thing. So like I thought the raw thing happened from like 2010 to 2015, and then it was more the fruitarian thing where it was raw, yes, but not much fat. So just fruits, a little bit of vegetables, but not much. And then now it's sort of everyone's realized that you can't get enough omega-3s, for example, for brain health for long term on this sort of diet. But that's, like I said, my warped perspective. So you think otherwise? You think raw is?
I definitely think the raw vegan diet is alive and well.
Okay,
but not according to the Daily Mail or the New York Post, which I think are probably pretty similar articles.
Yeah, they
similar sources.
Yes, I think so too. I think they're probably both generally sort of anti-vegan sources. They like to, make fun or use these in headlines as a way to get people to kind of pile on in the comments and all that. But actually, the Daily Mail, I had thought the same thing. If you scroll down to the bottom of their article, it says, "What should a balanced diet look like?" And they show this food, pie chart kind of thing. And this is from NHS Eat Well Guide, but it's like it's like almost an infographic at the bottom of their post. And their big pie has very little, only one of the sections has any meat at all in it. And it only shows like 3 meats, a couple fish and maybe a chicken leg, some eggs, and then a bunch of chickpeas, lentils, plain nuts. So it's a small little slice. And then the dairy is another small slice. So this is not an well, maybe it's anti-vegan, but it's definitely closer to a vegan diet than to the diet most people eat, the one that they're somehow recommending here. Anyway,
the subhead below that is meals should be based on potatoes, bread, rice, pasta, and other starchy carbohydrates, ideally whole grain. But what about the vegetables? What about?
I don't know.
I guess,
Yeah, like who can just say you should base your meals on that? I mean, I guess it's
Yeah.
fine. It sounds like a McDougal plan. Which is fine. And that has worked, but it seems like quite a generalization to say that that's what they should be based on. From what I think is kind of a mainstream page. Anyway, like there's not much news here as far as this. Like this is the same raw diet things I've heard all the time, where they talk about how the proponents say that there are certain nutrients that are destroyed and enzymes that are destroyed when cooking, and that is totally true. And then others, they go on and point out that, and these things always mention tomatoes, that there are some vegetables, however, that get more nutrients when they're cooked, like tomatoes and lycopene, which is just the classic example. And to me, just stupid example. I mean, fine, you can find one vegetable that gets more of a nutrient when it's cooked. It doesn't. That's not an argument to me that we need to be eating cooked food. On the other hand, I'm definitely not a raw food person, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think it was in the New York Post article where someone, a nutrition type person, who had some qualifications, I believe, they said we are the only animal or the first animal in the world that can't survive on raw food, whereas all the other animals can, but that we have cooked now as a civilization long enough that we have lost the ability to take enough nutrients from raw food. So I'm not sure if that's true. I don't know much about the timeline and how long. I've read things about this before in the past, and it sounds like we certainly have evolved in some way away from raw foods. I don't know if it's enough to substantiate the claim that we can't survive on raw foods. I think that's probably wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really disagreeing much with this article. I think a raw diet is good. It can certainly jumpstart your health. It's a great way to correct, like if you just overeat, we're going to kind of reset, because you lose all the goodness of snack foods and fats and salts and all these things that kind of hijack our brains.
I wouldn't even know what to eat anymore.
Yeah, you'd have nothing. You'd have no choices left.
I mean, so a lot of the things they point out here are just things that you should be mindful about with any diet, especially a vegan diet. It's just kind of it's about making sure you're not lacking any important nutrients or minerals, vitamins or minerals. Making sure that it talks about you could be losing too much weight, not getting enough calories. A lot of people, you need to make sure that you're eating enough to stay satiated and getting enough to fuel your lifestyle. I mean, like, this is all just kind of stuff that I feel like people need to just take into account no matter how they're eating. But I do understand it's probably way more work on a raw vegan diet than a non-raw vegan diet.
Yeah, and I mean they call out B12. I don't know that there would be any difference in B12 levels in a non-raw vegan diet versus a raw one. I guess things like nutritional yeast and other foods that are fortified with nutrition with B12 would probably not be on the raw diet for the most part. So perhaps B12 a little bit more of an issue, but it's, like you said, already an issue for a vegan diet. So you got to be careful anyway. For me, the fruitarian diet, the 3s is an issue. On a raw diet, though, where you can eat some nuts and seeds, you can get more of those things. And if you don't mind having algae oil for the other omega-3s, which we kind of talked about earlier, then you might be able to get those too. So I don't think you can't survive on a raw diet. But I don't know. I just think it will be a lot easier to follow a diet that involves some cooked food. And so I think eat some cooked food, some raw food. Most of us don't eat enough raw food. We could all start eat more raw food than we do. Yeah. And so New York Post oddly has, I don't know if they're the same publisher or whatever, but they also in their headline mentioned Gwyneth Paltrow and Demi Moore. So I didn't know.
It is a very similar article, which is interesting. I just looked up if they're owned by the same people, and they're not. But there's clearly some sharing or stealing going on.
Yeah, they have like an anti-vegan alliance, maybe, that they just those kind of articles they could just share. So anyway, that's raw. I've done a little bit of raw time in my life, not much. Doug, have you done any?
I've never had any raw food in my life. No.
I mean, have you ever been on a little raw food challenge or something?
No, I haven't. I was actually thinking that I should maybe consider that. During this conversation, I was thinking that maybe I should have like a raw week or something, or at least some raw cleansing days. But
save that for the summer when it's appealing. In wintertime, it would be hard to eat raw for me. Megan Fox and Sting have also previously followed the raw food vegan diet, and it's kind of all you need to know. So that's that. Last one for today, Doug. This is a little bit of an odd one, but I liked it. It's from plantbasednews.org. Animal activist takes Switzerland to court after not being provided vegan meals in prison, which almost sounds like an article that we would make fun of or a worst vegan guy ever kind of thing. But I read it, and I actually think it's an interesting case. He survived on, according to the subheadline, burger buns, rice, and salad. So he kind of eats what the Daily Mail is recommending you base your meals on. So maybe it wasn't so bad. But apparently he submitted, he wrote a written request to the prison and wanted appropriate vegan meals. They rejected that request, and they also wouldn't let him. They wouldn't give him an animal-free B12 source. So he refused to have the B12 they were giving him. And I guess eventually they yielded there. That's all right. He was suffering from iron deficiency, constipation, and hemorrhoids, presumably due to the poor diet he was given. And the question now is someone entitled? And I found myself asking that. Are you entitled to something like vegan food if you're in prison or in any other situation where you have no other choice? Is it okay for you to say, I require vegan food, otherwise you're not treating me fairly? And apparently veganism is a protected characteristic, or maybe it's not protected, but this case is over whether it should be a protected characteristic, which is kind of my question. But in the UK in 2020, an employment tribunal ruled that veganism was a philosophical belief protected by law against discrimination. So I guess certain countries have laws that would say if it's a philosophical belief, then it's protected. So I don't know. I don't know if it should be. I mean, if I were in his case, of course, I would wish that it was. But when I'm on the outside, literally on the outside, saying, should this be protected? I don't actually know. I mean, I don't know. I think most vegans will say, yeah, of course it should, because that's my choice. But I don't know if it should be protected. It's a choice that I am making, not a requirement that I can't survive without vegan food.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's tough, right? I lean towards thinking that it should be protected. But then again, I could imagine a world where people are just really picky about all kinds of their foods and and kind of coming up with a bunch of, like, is TB12 protected? And so,
nightshades.
So no nightshades. But I guess the thing is, like, most variations of the vegan diet, right, is much more than just about the food. And I think you could make a pretty strong argument about how protecting animals it could be part of your religion or your beliefs or that kind of thing. And that feels a little different than, like, I don't eat potatoes, and so you need to find a replacement for the potatoes. But
right. So there's another Daily Mail article that I almost included in today's show, but I decided not to. And it is, should you save a dying stranger if you know they eat meat? And I'm not going to get into it here because it's crazy enough that I don't want to even get into it on this show.
What?
But I guess he was an ethics professor at some university in Europe. And he was making the case. He himself eats meat, but he doesn't like it. He tries to get humane sources and all this, but I guess he can't.
I see one of the 80% that's guilty, feels guilty about it.
I'm 70%? Sure he is. Absolutely. He must. Because he tries to get it from humane sources and all that. But he was saying if someone's dying and they're drowning and you have an easy way to save them, but you know that they are responsible indirectly for the deaths of this many animals per year, you could make an argument that they should not be saved. And I mean, it's a ridiculous argument if you are of the belief that one human life is worth an infinite number of animal lives. And a lot of people are of that belief. And I'm not one to say that that's not right. I don't really know if it's right. It's not. There's not a right or wrong, of course. But this argument, this thing about the food thing, kind of comes back to that for me. If you had a diet if you refused to eat human meat and you were just, I think you would think that would be protected, right? Something that protect the ability to have something that doesn't involve killing of people, and being opposed to killing people. Typically, that belief would be protected in a context like this. But when it comes to animals, it's different. And so I was just thinking, like, I don't know. I guess if people viewed that some amount of animals are worth a human life, then by extension, you should say that, yes, I think someone who chooses not to indirectly kill animals with their food choices, then it should be protected, right? But you have to say that human lives and animal lives are somehow at least on the same scale, right? We can at least compare them in terms of their worth. And if you say humans infinitely more valuable than an animal, then that argument's out the window.
I think that all life is valuable, right? I mean, so like
Plant
you
life,
should-
bivalve life.
all animal life is valuable, right? So
Bivalve.
which
I want to
would
know about
include
bivalves, Doug.
I-
Muscles, scallops.
I'm a. Uh-oh. Wait, did I lose you? What was the
For a second.
what was the vegan who eats oysters?
That's
What,
bivalve vegan.
Bivalve vegan, yeah. No, I mean, but like I think someone else put this in the comments. Dale Stevens maybe. Yeah, if you let the human die, I mean, if you're trying to protect all animal life, right? I mean, all living things, right? And then you would want to help the human too, because then like maybe you should go around killing animals that eat other animals. This is I don't like
Right,
this. I don't
right.
like this scenario there.
Well, he did account more for, like he said, if the person would then go vegan after that, if they would make a change after that, then they might be worth saving.
I promise I'll go vegan. Help me.
But I did think about it when you were just talking. I thought, okay, there's a potential you could save this person, and he could then go on to save many animals. So I don't know. Yeah, weird question.
Yeah.
And obviously, I am, and I don't think you are either, Doug. Not well versed in ethics, so I apologize for my very clumsy comparison
Yeah.
between these two things. But I don't know. Interesting.
It is interesting. Yep.
So, who are we on side? Are we siding with the prisoner?
I'm siding with the prisoner. Yeah, I'm siding with the prisoner. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about him. I think that someone raised a good point. Like, why is he in jail?
It's not. It's not. It has nothing to do with it. Well, maybe it does.
Right. I mean, if he was acting in a way that is not aligned with a vegan lifestyle to place him in jail,
Okay.
does that
I see.
disqualify him from?
Yes, I would say yes. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. People know more about ethics than we do, I think.
I think maybe there might be a couple of people who do, but same with statins. So
right. All right, good. Well, this was fun. Yeah, I mean, like I said, check out the Plant Based Morning Show Instagram page. It's just Plant Based Morning Show, not the Plant Based Morning Show. And get on there and contribute and whatever. We'll
and
share
also
some
hit
good
us
stuff.
up. It's Doug Hay on Instagram or Real Matt Frazier on Instagram.
Yep.
And then of course like and subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a comment or a review. We need those.
We do
Use
need
those
reviews.
stats.
Yeah, if you listen every day, especially if you're one of those everyday people.
Yeah.
I would love it if you would leave us a review on the iTunes.
Yep.
Or whatever it is. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and keep an eye out for those Doug mentions of hummus and corn chips. Go back in the archives, find those, and send me timestamps, please, so I can add to my compilation.
All right, everybody.
Take it
Thank
easy,
you.
everyone. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.